Workshop's nice and warm now. Heated it up with the old gas heater, always good. It's about 6 degrees outside, so yeah, trying to get the workshop warm before I start working. What have I got for you today? Picked up a package. Mr. Postman dropped it off. I'm pretty sure it will be, well, I'm hoping it will be the Powerflex bushes. So let's open it and find out. So hopefully in this packet, once I've torn it open, Powerflex. Beautiful. So that means I can get the diff bushes onto the diff and finally bolt the diff up for the final time, so it's all installed and ready to go. And that'll be one thing to tick off the list. Can't even get into it. It's a good start, isn't it? So the bushes that I went for were the Black Series ones. So basically the Black Series are the harder material ones, so they'll basically keep the diff fixed in place and there's less movement than their normal type of bushes. Obviously, being a drift car or track car, we're not worried about vibrations and stuff coming through the car, so you know, going for these which are almost solid is not going to be a problem. But obviously if you have a road car and you want a bit more comfort, then you're probably better off going for the standard series bushes. So yeah, looking forward to fitting these, getting them in place, and all of the bushes on the car will then be Powerflex Black Series. All of the rear arm bushes, the subframe bushes, everything on there is Powerflex at the moment. Obviously I hadn't fitted these previously because I've changed diffs, and that's the only reason that I don't already have these fitted. But yeah, I love Powerflex parts. They're always like genuinely good. It's a good quality brand. So they even come with instructions. So if you don't know how to do it or how to fit these bushes, it's all on this bit of paper. So they're pretty self-explanatory and easy to fit anyway, but it's worth taking a note of the instructions just to make sure you've got the bushes in the right way, because there are two types. You've got the upper bush and the lower bush, and they are different, so you want to make sure that you fitted that the right way around. As per the instructions, I hate reading instructions, I'm not going to lie, but as I've learnt from previous flat pack builds and stuff, it does pay to read the instructions and not just tear into it and start building it how you think. So yeah, I need to get the car back on the ramp and put it up in the air, and hopefully I can just drop the diff down slightly and get the bushes in. I'm hoping I don't have to take the whole diff out, but we'll see. So these bushes, they just pop out with a screwdriver. So if you get a screwdriver underneath the bush, you can just work them loose and they just fall out like that. Perfect. And then the Powerflex instructions say you've got to clean up any sharp edges or rust or corrosion on the inside of there. So I'm just going to get some emery paper and yeah, just run it through there, clean it up. So first up, we install these the larger bush, because that goes on the top like that. and the B part of the bush is this slightly smaller bush that goes on the bottom. This is a copper hide hammer. I'm using the hide side because it's a bit softer than a metal hammer, so it shouldn't damage the bush. You can always use a rubber hammer or something that's soft. Then we need to apply this Powerflex assembly lube to the inside of the bush, or you can apply it to the metal sleeve and then put the sleeve in the bush. So whichever way around you want to do it, basically. I don't think it makes much difference. Bushes are now installed. They're a little bit tight to get the bushes into place and then the metal sleeve inside there. I found that using the washers and putting a long bolt through here with a nut on, you could wind the sleeve in. That was the best way. Otherwise, every time you tried to hammer the sleeve into the bush, it popped either the bottom bush out or the top bush, depending on which way you went. So yeah, highly recommend doing it that way. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. Now the diff can go back up. A quick break from the workshop because I'm going to go pick my dad up and we're going to go and get the bonnet off of the R34. Towards the end of last summer, my dad had the R34 on the ramp in the workshop, lifted it up, the bonnet open, and caught one of the beams that's part of the roof, part of the metal part, and dented it. So yeah, we had a panel beater out, basically managed to flatten it, get it smooth, and a little bit of filler to make it perfect. So now we just need to coat paint and then it will look brand new again. So yeah, bit unfortunate, but these things happen. So yeah, gonna go and grab the R34 bonnet and take it to the paint shop. So in case you were wondering, the R34 did not start. That's another issue that we're going to have to look at. It's a reoccurring problem basically where if you leave it, just like the fuel pump won't prime and it won't fire. So we don't know why, but we couldn't get it started. So we managed to pull the bonnet off, lift it around the skyline and put it in the back of the van. So now we're going to go to the paint shop. Back from the paint shop now, drop the bonnet off. Whilst I was there, we had a little look in the paint shop and it turns out that the owner has an S13 as well, which was all stripped out and caged up. It'd been acid dipped and yeah, looking pretty tidy. Complete bare shell with a cage in, but interesting. So yeah, here we are back in the workshop. The diff and everything is now in place. So that's basically the back end sorted. There's just a few more bits I need to do. One thing I did, or one thing I've started doing recently is putting Tipp-Ex marks on all of the bolts that I've done up, making sure they're tight. It's basically a quick reference, like you can look at it and know that there's a bolt that you've checked and tightened by looking to see if it's Tipp-Ex'd, and also you can see if it's moved. You should be able to see if it's slackened off or loosened off a lot more quickly in the future. So when you're looking over a car, inspecting it after the next drift event or something, you can basically see it if it's moved. I don't know, it just helps. So yeah, it's worth doing. I know a few other people do it as well, so I didn't invent that idea, I stole it. so I hold my hands up. But yeah, the other thing that I've got to do is I've got to put back on this thing, with this bracket here. It's not the best welding, so don't laugh at the welding. I didn't weld it, but it basically goes around the prop shaft, bolts up to where the old joint was, because the standard prop shaft is a 2-piece and this is a 1-piece. So basically the idea of that is it's like a prop shaft catcher, so should one of the joints fail or the prop shaft snaps, it stops hopefully stops the prop shaft dropping down and hitting the floor and potentially flipping the car over. From what I've heard, that is a possibility, obviously depending on speed and how everything goes out. And also if that doesn't happen, then at the very least the prop shaft will flap about if it snaps, and beat the floor pan and the transmission tunnel. So basically it's just to stop it dropping down, so that if it snaps it should just drop down onto that bracket and spin. I know that a few cars have it, like I think the CRV, or don't quote me on that one, but a few cars have got them underneath from the factory. So yeah, you know, it's something that it didn't take long to fabricate and knock up. So we thought we'd put one on. We've had it for a few years now, so yeah, because you've got to make your car as safe as possible. That's one little thing. So yeah, that's that. I'm going to bolt that on. It's only 2 bolts and then we're good to go. Then I think it's just a case of dropping the car down, and I'm probably going to take the cam cover off and the cams out and start on the hydraulic lifters. It's something I want to get out of the way, so I'm going to probably crack on with that now. Although I think I might like to do a compression test, or should I do that afterwards? My dilemma is, if I do all the work, change the lifters, then do the compression test, and then find out that it's low on compression, then I'm going to have to take the head off and investigate, or rather do a cylinder leakage test and investigate, and probably end up taking the head off and strip the engine. So I don't know if we've got a compression tester here though, or cylinder leakage. Maybe I should find out. So yeah, that's it anyway. I'm going to crack on with that. So what I'm going to be using is this gauge. This is a snap-on compression tester set. So it's just a gauge that reads PSI. Focuses. So you take the spark plugs out. I disconnected the injectors because obviously we don't want fuel being fired in. You need the throttle at full throttle, so you need to have your foot flat on the throttle, and you need to have a charged battery, obviously so it can turn the engine over enough revolutions to get a reading on the scale. So yeah, I plug it in, you just screw it down into the spark plug thread, into the hole, and then crank it over basically, and then write down your readings for all of the cylinders. Obviously there's only 4 cylinders on this one, so you should have 4 readings. So yeah, let's do it. Okay, so after cranking for about 5 seconds, the starter motor appears to be giving problems and it's not turning over the engine properly. So I think the starter motor might be on the way out. The car has always taken a while to fire up. I don't know if it's something to do with the race fuel or the map, or I don't know, I've no idea, but it always took a good, I don't know, probably a minute of cranking, so I'm not surprised that the starter motor is basically knackered, I should imagine. So that is something I'm going to have to look at in the morning. I'm putting the battery back on charge because it was left off. it wasn't on the conditioner over the weekend. So I'll put it on charge, I'll come back in the morning and then fire it up, and hopefully if the starter motor plays ball, then we'll get some readings. If not, I'll have to order a starter motor, get that fitted, and then do it again. So yeah, a bit of a pain in the arse. I don't think I've got a spare starter motor. I'm pretty certain I haven't. So yeah, that's where we're at. But end of the video here. Thanks for watching, and I will be back tomorrow with another one. So see you tomorrow.